Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we can have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it is going to be really quite horrible for many areas, especially southern areas, with heavy rain through today, lingering perhaps into tomorrow as well. Probably won't be too heavy, but there'll be a lot of gloom and drizzle around tomorrow. Maybe a bit brighter on Tuesday, but as we head into Wednesday, we're seeing a really deep area of low pressure move in that is going to be centred towards southern areas, giving some very strong gusty winds as well, and those winds could get as high as 50 or 60 miles per hour. Now, the latest UKV has most of those strongest winds out in the channel offshore, so it could have some big impacts on ferry services. However, hopefully doesn't impact too many inland areas, but that can still shift. So looking really quite lively, very unsettled over the next 5 days or so. But as we head into the longer range, as I have said in the last sort of week or so, it is still pretty abysmal. However, we're starting to see our first sort of glimmer of hope in the longer range of something a little bit drier and a little bit warmer. Now, it's nothing coming up imminently, nothing in the next 10 days. Perhaps outside that 14-day range, we're starting to see some of the operational runs building in some higher pressure, shifting that jet stream further northwards, and some of the Ensemble members starting to raise the pressure, reduce precipitation, and have an increase in upper air temperatures. But actually, some of the GFS and ECMWF ensembles today are showing quite high upper air temperatures as we head into the middle of August. So yes, the outlook over the next 10 days is pretty abysmal, really horrible, quite stormy, with some vigorous low pressure systems moving in. So if you have got plans in the next 10 days, you've got to hope it's on one of the little off days we may have here or there. But hopefully, fingers crossed, things are starting to look much better as we head into the middle of August. We'll have to see another couple of days of consistency of that before we can say it will definitely happen. But today and the last sort of 24 hours or so, the updates have been pretty promising, with middle of August looking much better than we thought only a few days ago. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, please do like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. To start on the live radar, you can see a big band of rain moving in at the moment. Luckily, it has halted its progress quite significantly this morning, but is moving through this afternoon. And for the ashes down at the Oval, unfortunately, just as I'm recording this, rain has now stopped playing as some of these heavier pulses are moving in, and it is looking likely that for the rest of the playing day, there will be heavy rain around. So we're unlikely to get more play in the ashes through today. Pretty typically, it looks like the back edge of this rain, of the heavier stuff, will move through around 6-7 p.m, which is pretty much the time the cricket sort of ends. So unfortunately, yes, the rest of the day is looking like a bit of a washout, unfortunately, but hopefully tomorrow things are going to be better. But as I said, this rainfall band will continue to move eastwards over the coming hours, quite patchy across parts of England, but there are some heavier pulses to the north of London and towards this line down towards central southern England, with all areas seeing at least a decent chunk of moderate to heavy rain at times here. As I said, it will spread through, but further northwards, it's actually pretty decent at the moment. A few showers around, but some brighter spells, some partly cloudy skies in places as well. Temperatures around 2:30, heading towards 3 p.m, are encouraging in the east, but really that's just because it's not raining there. Those temperatures will be plummeting over the coming hours as the cloud and rain moves in. You can see that through central England, up towards Wales. Blues moving in here, which is sort of towards the low teens, and that's the same across parts of the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland as well, where temperatures are pretty poor as well. Across Scotland, temperatures are best towards the east. We get a bit of Fern effect going across the hills, but really the upper air temperatures aren't anything to write home about, so the temperatures at the surface may be just about touching 20 degrees. But you can see much of northern and western Europe is pretty cool now. Again, getting toward the mid-20s across France, but they are much further southwards than us, so it is always going to be warmer. But generally, quite a cool period now for northern and western Europe. Hopefully, though, as I said, as we head towards the middle of August, things may start to change. Now, if you look at the UKV now, you can see that rain heading through this afternoon. Will continue to spread through this evening, heading northwards and eastwards, and could linger in northern areas through the early hours of the morning. As we head through tomorrow, as I said at the start of the video, it is looking a bit more encouraging for the rain across London tomorrow for the Ashes. There are still a few areas of patchy rain, and there is some heavier stuff offshore that would have to significantly nudge northwards in the next sort of 12 hours or so on these runs for its impact to play, but hopefully that does stay well to our south. Just a few patchy drizzly showers, which may be a little bit of a nuisance towards the morning hours, but during the afternoon, around that 4 or 5 p.m. point, as play probably is sort of starting to culminate, then it does look actually pretty decent with some sunnier skies building in. Further northwards is actually quite a showery day, drier at least in the early morning, but towards the afternoon, quite a few moderate showers moving in. Nothing too heavy at this stage, but a few heavier pulses is possible. As I said, into Tuesday. Tuesday's a bit of a lull. Not too much going on. A few showers here or there, maybe a few heavy thundery showers breaking out in a few spots in the north, but really not too bad for the 1st of August. But the severe low moves in for the evening of the 1st of August into Wednesday here. Initially, a big weather front moves in, giving heavy rain overnight. And then we see the centre of the low move through Wednesday afternoon for southern areas. You can see the spirals around here, and in the gap between the weather front and the centre of the low, big, heavy thunderstorms breaking out. Wouldn't be surprised if we did see some yellow warnings issued for this, not only perhaps for winds across southern England, but maybe thunderstorms here as well, as they will be pretty slow moving and pretty intense where they do occur, especially towards the centre of the low through southern England. That will eventually move through on Wednesday, and then we go into a kind of cool northerly flow, keeping us pretty cool and unsettled, but luckily, because it's coming from the north, it's a drier direction, lower dew points, it is drier air mass, so less showers as we head through Thursday and Friday. Still, of course, seeing some convective showers coming in off the ocean, but really most areas inland not too bad. And you can see that for the dew points. Dew points are reasonably low, especially in northern areas or waves of sort of 9-10 degree dew points, which again aren't ridiculously low, but are much lower than what we'd get if we were having air mass coming off the Atlantic. And you can see the upper air temperatures are a good 5 degrees below average at times, latter part of this upcoming week, as we do see that northerly winds move in. Now, if you look actually at the wind gusts, just want to have a good close look at this for Wednesday. You can see those strong winds coming in. Along the coast, we're looking at 40 to 50 miles per hour, maybe 60 towards the Isle of Wight area, but it could be even higher offshore, 60 to 70 miles per hour across the channel. So expecting some disruption to ferries and generally to northern France as well, towards coastal France areas, but elsewhere the wind shouldn't be too high. And actually for central England, towards the centre of the low, or just the north of the centre of the low, not expecting any strong gusts at all, and this will be those thunderstorms are pretty slow moving during the afternoon and evening hours there. Now, if you look at the max temperatures, again, you can see this afternoon maybe just about peaking around the 22 degree mark across East Anglia, but most areas 15 to 18 degrees under the heavier rain. Through Monday, again, for the last day of July, temperatures are pretty poor, maybe 22 in the far south, but most areas high teens. It's the 1st of August, hopefully things may get up to 22 degrees. A bit brighter, less showers will mean those temperatures are allowed to rise, but really touching average for the time of year, nothing spectacular at all. As we head into Wednesday, again, maybe just about 22 degrees in the north and the east, but with that weather front lingering further northwards, low teens across Scotland and the far north of England, and for southern areas, under the heavy rain and thunderstorms, it will be cool. But you could see a 21 or 22 as the air mass is pretty humid towards the centre of that low. And then finally, as we head into Thursday, things will look a bit better. Maybe 21, 22 is possible, but mostly high teens. Again, a bit brighter of a day because it's northerly winds. It'll be a colder feel. So we're sort of getting colder air mass, but hopefully something a little bit dry, and that will continue into Friday as well. Now, if you look at the Longrange on the latest GFS, you can see the westerly winds coming at the moment, very unsettled conditions, and you can see as we head into Wednesday, have a very active low pressure system giving us very stormy conditions. Now, in yesterday's ECMWF run, we saw the very severe low here, this extratropical system, give us very stormy weather around that sort of day 8, day 10 point. Now, going to keep a close eye on it today from the GFS. It does move in, but it doesn't particularly pick up any steam towards next weekend. and instead we just see more genuine Atlantic lows dominate. We actually see another severe low come out of northeast America. Again, that could be an extratropical system combining with Atlantic systems, giving us quite stormy weather perhaps in the north and west. But interestingly, around the 10th of August, these lows are further northwards and westwards, further from the UK, impacting only really northern and western regions. And from the looks of this, high pressure could start to just about nudge in from the south, starting to bring some warmer or hotter air. Again, look at the temperature deviation. Hotter air to our south, 8 to 10 degrees above average. But it's slowly nudging in for the UK. Again, no concrete signs that it's going to be much better, but just tentative signs that these lows are migrating back northwards. If we look at the jet stream, perhaps starting to push northwards, you can see this kink in the jet stream. This would indicate that the jet stream would start to head back northwards. Again, this is the 200 HPA level, 300 HPA level, pretty similar. Could just be signs that it's starting to rise northwards. Again, we don't need it that much further northwards. We just need it to move these greens towards Iceland and Greenland, and some more of these reds towards the UK. So again, tentative signs from the GFS. The GM, low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, that quite severe low early next week, and then we see that extratropical system move in. Again, actually does become quite a severe little system there. Not quite as intense as the ECWF was showing yesterday, but regardless, still intense and still could have some warnings issued for it. And eventually, towards day 10, we do see high pressure firmly built in. Very interesting seeing that. As I said, highlights at the start of the video. High pressure really firmly building in, very similar to the GFS, and you can see the kink in the jet stream is pushing it northwards, more out in the Atlantic, and the high pressure is allowed to build in that little dip in the jet stream, or low pressure builds in the dip, and as it raises northwards, we see high pressure replace it over the UK. The only bad thing with this is because if we look at the jet stream again, it shifts further northwards and doesn't shift too far northwards over the UK, it still allows cooler air to filter in. So essentially means under this high pressure, it's much drier. Again, if we look at the precipitation associated with this, much drier across the UK. But look at the upper air temperatures, they are pretty poor still. So it more likely be sort of low 20s, but dry and sunny, which I think many people would actually would like. You can see that from all this cool air coming in along the jet stream. You could follow the jet stream really for all these blues. It's on the dividing line of the blues and the yellows here, indicating where warmer and cooler air is compared to average, and you can see just about on the periphery of that jet stream as it shifts northwards. If it did shift slightly further northwards and slightly further eastwards, then we would allow some of this warmer air to build in. But again, that's something that will develop perhaps towards the middle of the month. But encouraging signs from the GM today. If we look at the ECWF, plenty of low pressure system coming in off the Atlantic. Very severe low for Wednesday, getting down to 985 millibars, or even lower, 984, which is really quite severe for the time of year. The wind speeds are extremely strong along the south coast. Again, wouldn't be surprised to see weather warnings issued for this, maybe even named as well, maybe by Meteo France, as the most severe impacts will be coastal regions of northwest France. But regardless, there is the real possibility of this being named, looking at the severity of these winds and their widespread nature. If we do progress beyond that, again, more systems coming in. That's the extratropical system there. Not quite as severe as it was showing yesterday, but still a lively system. And as we head towards day 10, again, signs of high pressure building in. But unfortunately, the amplification in the jet is further westwards, meaning we're still in a cooler northerly flow on the east side of the high. But if that high did build in a bit more, top a little bit, then we would see it develop more over the UK here. Actually, quite a cold plunge in from the north. So from all three models, very unsettled the next 7 days or so, but as we're towards day 10 to day 14, especially on the GFS, towards that day 14 range, then high pressure does take more of an influence. Only really the GM has it dominating, and even on the GM it's with colder air. But tentative signs of improvement, and that improvement is very much shown on the ensembles. Now you can see it's pretty cool and very unsettled, especially towards early August here, from around the 3rd to the 10th. Upper air temperatures are 5 degrees below average and lots of precipitation. But as we head towards around the 10th to the 15th, Precipitation starts to lower, not to anything remotely close to zero, but lower than what it is previously, and the upper air temperatures are actually above average, showing signs of something warmer and drier. The 2 metre temperatures are pretty low, maybe not even getting much above 20 degrees for the first week of August, but getting towards the 25 degree range around the 10th to the 15th. Again, good improvements. And the precipitation lowering as well. And most importantly, look at the sea level pressure. You see a big drop this week for that severe low moving in, some getting down, as I said, towards that 985 millibar range, but into the longer term, rising to 1020, maybe as high as 1030 from some of these ensemble members, again indicating higher pressure building in. So encouraging signs from the ensembles here, and encouraging signs from the ECMWF ensembles as well, which do show something very similar. We again well below average during the first week of August with high precipitation, but precipitation lowers towards the 10th to the 15th, and upper air temperatures rise. Very similar pattern to the GFS. The 2 metre temperatures are similar as well, rising significantly in the longer term towards the low 20s again, instead of the high teens or touching 20 degrees in the near future. And the sea level pressure is very low this next upcoming week, some even getting out to 980 millibars. That is extremely deep for this time of year. Wouldn't be surprised to see that named, and into the longer term rising significantly. So definitely signs that over the next week to 10 days it's going to be pretty abysmal, going to be pretty stormy, pretty horrible, but tentative signs that things will improve quite significantly from around the 10th of August, so around 10 to 12 days time. Things could start to rapidly improve with good signs of high pressure starting to take more of an influence. It's not completely certain, but definitely a big improvement today, and we'll just have to keep a very close eye on what is going to be happening. But over the next few days, we are going to be concentrating on this system moving in for Wednesday. Wouldn't be surprised to see multiple weather warnings, wind warnings, perhaps thunderstorm warnings as well, and perhaps for it to be named as well. Most likely by Meteo France, but possibility by the UK Met or Met Erin as well for those strong winds along the south coasts. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you do stay safe and keep up to date with the videos and the warnings, as they will be pretty important over the next day or two for that system moving through on Wednesday. But I'll see you again for another video soon.